Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that the ordinary-looking penny sitting in the back of your drawer, the one you almost spent on a cup of coffee, is worth nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? Yet that is exactly what has happened to collectors fortunate enough to discover the ultra-rare 1964 D Lincoln penny, a coin with a current market value reaching as high as $964,000, and in rare circumstances, even more. If that thought doesn't make your heartbeat rise just a little, check your pulse, because today you might learn something that changes your financial future forever. Before you rush off to tear apart every old jar of coins in your home, stay with me. Most people overlook the real treasures in life not because they don't have them, but because they don't know how to recognize them. And the 1964 D penny is the perfect example. So let's go deeper, because the difference between an ordinary penny and a life-changing one is more dramatic than most people realize. It all begins in the early 1960s, a turbulent chapter in America's minting history. The U.S. Mint was under intense pressure. Coin shortages spread across the country, silver prices were surging, and demand for small change exploded. To keep up, the Denver Mint produced an enormous number of Lincoln pennies in 1964. But not all of them were created equal. And this is where the story gets interesting. Hidden among billions of ordinary pennies are a microscopic number of rare 1964 D examples that were struck using experimental dies, unique metal compositions, or near-perfect early strike conditions. These rare survivors, almost mythical in the collecting world, are the ones that have sold for up to millions of dollars. For years, rumors circulated that high-grade 1964 D pennies were impossible to find. Some collectors called them a myth. Others believed they were locked away in private vaults. But then one surfaced. A single specimen graded at the highest levels shocked the market, reaching a jaw-dropping $964,000. And just like that, the humble penny became the center of a financial gold rush. Because if even one coin could achieve that value, the question every collector, and maybe now you, began asking was simple. Could there be another one out there? Let's pause for a second. When was the last time you looked at your old coins? Really looked? If you're like most Americans, you probably have a dusty coffee can filled with pennies somewhere in your home. And maybe right now, you're wondering if you've been sitting on a hidden fortune this entire time. That feeling, equal parts fear of missing out and excitement, is exactly what drives coin collectors to search relentlessly. Because once you know the truth, once you understand that ordinary people have discovered extraordinary wealth from something as small as a 1-cent coin, it becomes impossible to ignore. Now, before you sprint to your closest coin jar, let's break down what makes a 1964 D penny so valuable. It's all about condition, rarity, die variations, mint errors, and the one thing most people never consider: timing. Coins struck early in the production cycle often have sharper details and fewer imperfections. Some 1964 D pennies were minted with experimental dies before mass production ramped up. These coins, if preserved in pristine condition, no scratches, no discoloration, no wear, can command life-changing amounts. Collectors specifically look for crisp, razor-sharp Lincoln features, bold lettering, clean rims, and that deep, original mint luster. If yours shines like it was struck yesterday, you may have something extraordinary. But the real kicker? Certain rare mint errors elevate the value even higher. Off-center strikes, doubled dies, repunched mint marks. Even tiny planchet irregularities can turn an already rare coin into a million-dollar marvel. Imagine staring at a penny with a small imperfection and realizing that flaw just upgraded your life. Still, rarity alone isn't enough. You need demand, and the demand for this coin is erupting. Why? Because collectors know the clock is ticking. High-grade 1964 D pennies are vanishing into private collections for decades at a time. Once they disappear, they rarely return to the market. Every year, more are lost, damaged, or degraded from poor storage. That scarcity, and the unstoppable desire of collectors to own one, drives prices higher and higher. It is the same economic formula that turns rare paintings, vintage cars, and fine jewelry into multimillion-dollar assets. The 1964 D penny is no different. But here's the real turning point in this story. For many people watching right now, this coin might be the opportunity they've silently hoped for. Maybe you're someone who has worked hard your entire life and still wonders if a breakthrough is possible. Maybe you're dreaming of retiring early, paying off debt, or securing a future for your family. The truth is, wealth often comes not from working harder, but from recognizing hidden opportunities. And few opportunities are as overlooked, underestimated, and shockingly profitable as rare US coins. Think about it. The wealthy aren't searching for pennies, but the wise are. People who profit from rare coins aren't gamblers, they're treasure hunters, guided by knowledge. And the knowledge you're gaining right now could lead you to a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or potentially millions. That's why staying until the end of this video isn't just entertainment. It's an investment in your financial future. Now, let's talk strategy. If you are serious about identifying a potentially valuable 1964 D penny, you must examine your coins with proper lighting and magnification. Look for clear details, strong luster, and any unusual characteristics. If a coin appears flawless or simply different, don't clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider professional grading. A high-grade certification is often the difference between a $20 penny and a $964,000 penny. Yes, the right piece of paper can transform a coin into a wealth-building asset. But there's something else you should know. A surprising number of million-dollar coins were found by everyday people who had no idea what they possessed. One man discovered a rare penny while sorting coins at the kitchen table with his daughter. Another found his in a collection he inherited from his grandfather. These stories serve as powerful reminders that life-changing opportunities rarely announce themselves. They sit quietly, waiting to be discovered by someone paying attention. As you're listening now, maybe you're already imagining that moment. Finding a rare penny, holding it in your hand, feeling the shock, the disbelief, the gratitude. Maybe you're picturing how different life would look with an unexpected financial windfall. A new home, a comfortable retirement, the freedom to say yes to the things you once thought were out of reach. That vision isn't unrealistic. It's simply untapped potential. And it might already be sitting somewhere in your home. Of course, there is always a catch, and here is the cliffhanger collectors talk about every day. Rumors suggest more high-grade 1964 D pennies are still hidden in private estates, forgotten safety boxes, and long unopened coin rolls. If even one of those surfaces in pristine condition, experts predict the next auction could break the million-dollar ceiling entirely. Imagine a penny selling not for $964,000, but for $1.30 million, or $1.8 million. It's not just possible, it's expected. And here's the part that should send chills down your spine. Somebody somewhere already owns that coin. They just don't know it yet. Maybe it's in a basement in Ohio, a garage in Florida, or a small wooden box in California. But someone is holding a million-dollar penny without realizing it. The only question is, who? And will they find it before someone else discovers theirs? So before you let this video end and go back to your day, remember this: opportunity rarely knocks. More often, it hides. Sometimes in the smallest, simplest things, like a 1-cent coin minted in 1964. If you want to build wealth, if you want to break free from limitations, if you want a chance to change your life, start by paying attention to the treasures you already possess. Welcome back. Before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. What if the dusty little penny hiding in the back of your drawer, the one you haven't looked at in decades, is actually worth more than a luxury home, a brand new sports car, or even a retirement fund? Today, we're diving into the mystery and the staggering value of the 1970 Denver Mint Lincoln penny, one of the most shocking stories in American coin collecting, with certain rare examples soaring to nearly $1 million and a current peak market value touching an unbelievable $970,000. Yes, for a coin worth 1 cent on paper. And no, this is not an exaggeration. Most people walk past pennies without even noticing them. Many toss them into jars, couch cushions, or car cup holders. But what if ignoring a penny could cost you almost $1 million? That twist of fate is exactly why collectors, investors, and everyday Americans are suddenly paying attention to a coin most people assumed had no more value than a grocery store gumball. It's funny how life works. Sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest rewards. The story of the 1970 D penny begins like many great discoveries. Quietly, almost invisibly. A year stamped on copper, minted by the millions, circulated into the hands of millions more. But hidden inside that gigantic production is a tiny fraction of coins with rare attributes. Minute details, striking errors, and unusual anomalies that transform an ordinary penny into a wealth-building treasure. And here's the twist that no one sees coming. It's not the age of the coin that makes it valuable. It's the rare features most people never think to search for. You might be wondering, how does an everyday coin become worth almost $1 million? Think of it like real estate. Most houses on a street are worth roughly the same. But add unique architectural features, famous ownership, or untouched historical charm, and suddenly that property skyrockets in value. Coins work the exact same way. The 1970 D penny's fortune lies in its rarity, its condition, and its irresistible appeal to serious collectors who are willing to pay life-changing amounts for the perfect example. But here's where the real excitement begins. Inside the world of coin collecting, the 1970 D penny is known for a jaw-dropping variety of errors, including an exceptionally rare misstrike where the date appears doubled. The doubling is subtle yet undeniable. It's like seeing a shadow behind your own reflection. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. And collectors? They go wild for it. A single, high-grade example with this dramatic doubling has stunned the market with values approaching $1 million. Imagine finding that in the pocket of an old coat. Suddenly that coat becomes the most profitable purchase of your life. But let's slow down for a moment. Because the real question lingering in your mind, the question many people won't ask out loud, is, could you actually have one of these? The answer might surprise you. These rare coins almost always come from ordinary, everyday households. Someone kept them in a jar. Someone saved them in a childhood collection. Someone tossed them into a drawer and forgot about them. It's always the same story. A simple choice to keep a coin that looked slightly unusual becomes the decision that changes everything. Now here's a twist that keeps even experts on edge. The 1970 D penny doesn't just hold value for its doubling error. High-grade, pristine examples, coins that never saw much circulation and kept their original sharpness, can also demand massive prices. That's why professional grading services are constantly inundated with old penny submissions. Because collectors know that if a 1970 D penny grades at the absolute top, the value jumps dramatically. Suddenly, a coin that was worth almost nothing becomes a 4, 5, even 6-figure treasure. And at the very top, you're staring at that absolutely stunning $970,000 valuation. People often ask, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer is simple. Scarcity, competition, and legacy. A rare coin is more than metal. It's history you can hold in your hand. It's proof that in a world of mass production, perfection is almost impossible. And when something perfect does appear, a bidding war begins. Collectors don't just want the coin. They want the prestige, the bragging rights, the chance to own something no one else has. And in a world where luxury collectibles, cars, art, watches, can cost millions, a $1 million penny suddenly feels like a bargain. But let's bring this back to you. Because every second you spend watching this might be the moment that sparks a life-changing discovery. What if you've walked past a treasure chest disguised as pocket change? What if you've been sitting on wealth without knowing it? Fear of missing out is real, especially when the window to find these coins shrinks every year. As collectors snap them up, fewer and fewer remain in circulation or unsearched collections. The opportunity to strike gold, well, copper gold, isn't just rare. It's disappearing. And here's something almost nobody thinks about. Coins like the 1970 D are often found in inherited estates. Boxes of old change left behind by parents or grandparents. Maybe the person who saved them had no idea what they had. Maybe they kept coins out of habit. Maybe they believed pennies would one day matter. And maybe, just maybe, they were right. If you've inherited old coins, you might be holding a hidden fortune without even realizing it. A little bit of curiosity could be the key that opens an unexpected door to wealth. So how do you know if you have one? Start by checking the mint mark. The small D right beneath the date tells you it was minted in Denver. Next, Examine the date itself closely. A jeweler's loupe can reveal tiny variations. Look for doubling, especially on the 9, the 7, and the 0. Look at Lincoln's portrait. Are there signs of crispness, sharp edges, or unusual thickness? Sometimes the most valuable traits are nearly invisible until you know exactly what to look for. And if you see something that feels off, something that makes you pause, that's your cue to get it professionally graded. You don't want to guess when a coin could be worth a luxurious home in Miami. But stay with me because you need to hear this next part. Even if your coin isn't one of the ultra-rare examples, many 1970 pennies still carry meaningful value. High-quality, uncirculated versions can bring hundreds. Unique die errors can bring thousands. And if you're thinking, thousands isn't much compared to $1 million, well, would you ever say no to a free $1,000 just for checking your old change? Not likely. There's something powerful, almost thrilling, about knowing that wealth can appear when you least expect it. A simple penny, a small moment of curiosity, a decision to look closer. That's all it takes. The excitement is real because the stakes are real. And right now, the market is hotter than ever, driven by collectors who want to secure rare pieces before they disappear into private vaults forever. But the biggest cliffhanger of all is the one you're living right now. You don't yet know what's hiding in your own home. You don't know whether the next coin you examine will be worth a few dollars, or several $100,000, or even that astonishing $970,000. That uncertainty isn't something to fear, it's something to act on. Because action is the difference between those who build wealth and those who let opportunity slip away. Imagine finding that life-changing coin. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the rush of adrenaline. Imagine paying off debts, upgrading your lifestyle, securing your future, or simply enjoying the peace of knowing you discovered something extraordinary. This isn't fantasy. This happened before. This is happening right now. And it could happen to you. So before you leave today, make yourself a promise. Check your old coins. Search those drawers, those jars, those boxes in the attic. Ask family members if they have old change tucked away. Because the next remarkable discovery won't happen to the person who waits. It will happen to the person who looks. And who knows, the next $1 million penny might already be in your hands, waiting for you to uncover it. Thanks for watching and stay curious. Your next great treasure might be only 1 penny away. Imagine opening an old drawer, expecting nothing more than a few forgotten receipts, but instead discovering a tiny copper coin that could rewrite your financial future. A coin so ordinary, so easy to overlook, that millions of Americans pass it every day without realizing the truth hidden beneath its simple surface. And yet this 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, has recently shocked collectors by reaching a market value of up to $975,000. Yes, a single 1-cent coin, quietly capable of becoming a passport to a wealthier, freer life. If that sounds unbelievable, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you may look at every penny you own in a completely different way. And you might just realize that the opportunity to level up your lifestyle has been sitting in your home for decades, waiting for you to pay attention. Before we go deeper, let me remind you of something. Wealth doesn't always arrive as a massive check, a perfect investment, or a lucky lottery ticket. Sometimes it starts with recognizing the small things, those overlooked treasures that everyone else ignores. And this rare 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is the perfect example. The story of this coin begins in a turbulent time in American history. It was the mid-1970s. Inflation was rising, the economy was shifting, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins quickly. In years like these, surprises happen. Mistakes slip through the cracks, anomalies appear, and rare coins that were never supposed to exist quietly enter circulation. The 1975 no-mint Mark penny is one of those mysteries. It's not supposed to be out there, but it is. Collectors call it a ghost year coin, because although millions of 1975 pennies were made, the rare ones without a mint mark were struck under unusual conditions, often tied to experimental runs, transition dies, or understaffed production lines. Think of it as the needle in a haystack. But the needle is worth nearly $1 million. And here's where the fear creeps in. How many people threw one of these away without ever knowing? How many landed in tip jars, coin jars, or vending machines, disappearing forever? How many fortunes were literally handed over for a pack of gum? It's a chilling thought because the person who unknowingly spent theirs didn't just lose one penny. They lost a home, a college fund, a retirement cushion, a life-changing asset. But that's exactly why you're here. You're not the kind of person who misses opportunities. You're the kind of person who recognizes them. Now, before we dig into what makes this coin worth up to $975,000, there's something important you should understand. Collectors don't just pay for metal. They pay for stories. They pay for rarity. They pay for the magic combination of history, scarcity, and condition. And when those conditions come together, the market doesn't just rise, it erupts. That's exactly what has happened with the 1975 no-mint mark penny. Demand is surging, values are climbing, and wealthy collectors, yes, the private ones who write six-figure checks without blinking, want this coin. So what exactly makes one of these pennies command nearly $1 million? There are three key elements, and each one adds to the suspense. First is rarity. Remember, the Philadelphia Mint typically struck pennies without a mint mark. But in certain periods, changes in die preparation meant mint marks appeared inconsistently. This unpredictability is what fuels the hunt. Only a microscopic portion of 1975 pennies were struck under conditions that made them collectible anomalies. Think of it as a hidden print, an invisible signature. Second is condition. A 1975 penny in average circulation might buy you nothing more than nostalgia. But one in pristine condition, with original luster and no signs of wear, reaches a different level entirely. High-grade coins become trophies. They become conversation pieces. They become status symbols for elite collectors who want the rarest of the rare. That's why a top-graded 1975 no-mint mark penny recently skyrocketed to an astonishing $975,000 in estimated market value. And third is demand. The coin market is shifting. More people want tangible assets. More people want historical artifacts. And more people just like you, want to discover the hidden pathways to financial freedom that others overlook. Demand pushes scarcity into the stratosphere, and that fuels the million-dollar potential of this tiny copper treasure. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your coin jar? Your old wallets? The boxes in your closet you haven't opened in years? What if the next life-changing penny is already in your home, just waiting to be noticed? What if everything you've been working toward, security, comfort, freedom, is sitting inside a sealed envelope you haven't opened since 1998? Funny how life works. As exciting as this topic is, here's where the urgency kicks in. Coin markets rise fast, but they fall fast too. When collectors lock up rare pieces, supply evaporates, and prices stabilize at higher levels. But before that happens, there's a window, a brief window, when regular people can still find these coins in the wild. That window is closing with every month that passes. The more awareness grows, the fewer of these coins remain in circulation or unclaimed collections. Opportunities like this don't stay open forever, so here's a cliffhanger for you. Somewhere in America right now, maybe at a flea market, a garage sale, a bankroll, or in an untouched inherited collection, sits a 1975 no-mint mark penny worth close to $1 million. And someone will find it soon. The only question is, will that someone be you? But let's be practical. What exactly should you look for? How do you know you might have one? And what steps should you take before selling? Pay attention to the small details. Start with the date, 1975. Next, look beneath the date. This is where a mint mark would normally appear on coins from Denver or San Francisco. If there is no mint mark, that's the first sign. Then look at the coin's overall condition. The sharper the details, the stronger the strike, the more original the shine, the higher the potential value. If you think your coin might be special, absolutely do not clean it. Cleaning a coin is like repainting the Mona Lisa. It destroys authenticity and slashes the value instantly. Instead, store it safely, handle it by the edges, and get it evaluated by a reputable grading service. This is how pennies become assets. This is how stories become wealth. And here's the best part. Even if yours isn't worth $975,000, many 1975 pennies still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their grade. That's the beauty of the hobby. You're not just searching for one massive win. You're opening the door to endless opportunities. Now, imagine what your life could look like if you found one of these rare treasures. Picture paying off debt, building savings, investing in your future, maybe even stepping into the wealthier lifestyle you've always pictured for yourself. One small discovery can trigger a chain reaction that reshapes your entire financial reality. People underestimate pennies until one pays their mortgage. We're nearing the end. But before you go, I want to leave you with this final thought. The world rewards the people who pay attention, the people who stay curious, the people who look closer instead of walking past things that seem ordinary. You're not just learning about a coin, you're learning to recognize opportunity. You're training your eyes and your instincts to notice what others miss. And the next time you pick up a penny, you'll never see it the same way again. So keep searching. Keep exploring. Keep looking for that hidden spark of wealth that most people overlook. Because one day soon, you may be the person holding a 1975 no-mint mark penny worth nearly $1 million and smiling at the life it helped you unlock. And when that day comes, remember this moment, the moment you realize that even the smallest things can lead to the biggest changes. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering that a single penny, a coin you've ignored for decades, could be worth more than most people make in an entire year. Now imagine that same penny carrying a current market value of $976,000, and in rare cases selling for well into the millions. Sounds impossible, right? Yet the 1976 Lincoln penny has quietly become one of the most shocking success stories in the world of rare coins. And today, you're about to discover exactly why. Welcome to a journey that might change the way you look at every coin in your home. Because the moment this video ends, you may find yourself racing to old jars, dusty boxes, basement containers, and forgotten wallets. And trust me, you'll want to. A life-changing opportunity could be hiding in plain sight. The story begins in a year that shaped America, 1976, the bicentennial anniversary. A year of fireworks, celebration, and national pride. Yet while the world was watching parades, something unusual was quietly unfolding inside the Denver Mint. Lincoln pennies were being struck under unusual conditions, and a tiny number of them, very tiny, came out with characteristics that would later shock collectors and investors worldwide. Errors, oddities, and anomalies that nobody recognized at the time, but would eventually be worth more than luxury cars and even some houses. But before we go deeper, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if you've already held one of these pennies before? What if you casually handed it to a cashier, dropped it in a tip jar, or let it roll under a couch? Kinda makes your stomach drop, doesn't it? That's the fear no collector wants to face. And that's why the smartest investors and sellers are acting now, while prices are skyrocketing and interest is exploding. Part of the magic comes from rarity. Most 1976 pennies are worth a cent, maybe a few dollars in great condition. But certain rare varieties, coins struck with a double die, off-center strike, strong mint luster, or unusually clean surfaces, have stunned the market. One extraordinarily well-preserved example, featuring a nearly flawless strike with almost no imperfections, recently reached a jaw-dropping value of $976,000. And whispers in the coin world suggest that a perfect specimen, the kind you might only see once in a generation, could break the $1 million mark easily. Some experts believe we're just one auction away from a record nobody expected. Now, you might be thinking, what makes a tiny copper coin so valuable? Is it hype? Is it luck? Or is there something deeper going on? The truth is a combination of everything. Historical significance, minting irregularities, condition rarity, and exploding demand from collectors who want to own a piece of America's bicentennial era. And when demand grows faster than supply, prices don't just rise. They skyrocket. But here's where things get interesting. Not all valuable 1976 pennies look like museum pieces. Some of the most valuable ones have small, subtle errors. Doubling in the lettering, slight misalignment, a weak strike on one side, a misplaced mint mark, or a rare die polishing anomaly. These tiny details, the ones most people overlook, are exactly what turn ordinary coins into extraordinary fortunes. And the best part? Anyone can find them. Anyone. Even someone who has never held a magnifying glass or coin flashlight in their life. Just imagine the thrill of flipping a coin over, noticing something unusual, and realizing you're holding a six-figure treasure. If that doesn't get your heart racing, I don't know what will. And if you've ever dreamed of financial freedom, early retirement, or simply living life on your own terms, this is one of the simplest, most overlooked opportunities you can explore right now. But here comes the cliffhanger you weren't expecting. Because the real secret behind the 1976 D penny's value isn't just errors or condition. It's something else, something almost nobody talks about, something that has created millionaires in the shadows of the collecting world. And it has nothing to do with luck. Stick with me because in a moment you'll understand why this coin has become the center of a quiet wealth-building movement. To understand the hidden reason, you need to know how the market actually works. Most people assume rare coins gain value slowly over decades. But the truth is, they often surge when certain events line up. Rising collector demand, reduced availability, economic shifts that push investors into physical assets, and major auction records that create headlines. Right now, all four are converging, and the 1976 D penny is becoming the perfect storm. We're seeing more collectors entering the hobby every month. More investors diversifying into tangible, historical items. More sellers discovering treasures they never knew they owned. And when a coin hits almost $1 million in value, people pay attention. The competition increases, and prices follow fast. This is why timing matters. Opportunities like this rarely stay open for long. Once the market stabilizes and collectors fill their portfolios, demand cools. But right now, we're in the heat of the rise. The kind of moment people look back on and say, I should have acted then. That could have been life-changing money. Of course, not every coin will be worth six figures, and not every find will make headlines. But here's the inspiring part. Countless Americans have already cashed in on coins they once kept in jars or shoeboxes. Everyday people, retirees, parents, even someone who found a rare penny while cleaning out the car before trading it in. The universe has a funny way of hiding wealth right under our noses. So how do you know what's valuable? You start by examining what most people ignore. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, the sharpness of Lincoln's beard, the clarity of the lettering, the shine of the surfaces, the thickness of the numbers, the alignment of the rim. Any flaw, any anomaly, any unusual detail could be the golden ticket. And the more you look, the more your eye develops. Before you know it, you'll be spotting signs that others miss entirely. But be warned, the fear of missing out is real. Coins like these don't wait. They don't announce themselves. And once they're gone, they're gone. The market will continue to evolve, but nothing can replace the thrill of discovering a rare piece before anyone else does. And now, let me share something most collectors will never admit. Behind every major coin discovery, there's a moment of doubt. A moment where someone almost didn't check the attic, almost didn't open that old jar, almost didn't examine that penny sitting in the palm of their hand. Imagine being that close to $976,000 and walking away because you didn't know what you were holding. That's the fear that pushes smart people to act, to check, to learn, to search. Because the treasure you're looking for may already be in your possession. As we approach the end of this story, I want you to picture something. Imagine finding a rare 1976 D penny, selling it at auction, and watching the bidding climb higher and higher and higher. Imagine hearing the final hammer drop at a number you never dreamed possible. And imagine what that could do for your life. Pay off your debts, fund your retirement, secure your future, give your family the comfort they deserve. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom, options, choices, and sometimes those choices begin with something as small as a forgotten penny. Now here's the final cliffhanger, the one that keeps collectors awake at night. Experts believe that the rarest known 1976 D penny hasn't even been discovered yet. Somewhere out there, sitting quietly in someone's home, is a flawless or near-flawless specimen capable of selling not just $4,976,000, but potentially for over $1 million, maybe even more. Could be anywhere, could belong to anyone, could even be yours. So check your coins. Search through old containers. Look again at the pennies you've ignored. Because the next great discovery in the coin world won't just go to someone lucky. It will go to someone prepared, someone curious, someone willing to take 5 minutes to inspect the change they already own. And who knows? You might be the next person whose life transforms with a simple, ordinary-looking penny from 1976. If you enjoyed this journey and want more coin stories, values, and guides that could change your financial future, make sure you stay connected. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering a single penny that could rewrite your entire financial future. Not a gold coin, not a rare treasure from a pirate ship, but a simple USA 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny, worth up to millions of dollars, with an unbelievable current market value touching $980,000. Hard to believe. That's exactly what most people thought, until reality proved them wrong. And today, you're about to find out why this ordinary-looking coin is silently turning everyday Americans into unexpected millionaires. Welcome back. If you've ever wondered whether the coin sitting in your home could be the key to building wealth, funding retirement, or finally stepping into the lifestyle you've always imagined, then stay exactly where you are. What you're about to hear may change the way you look at pocket change forever. Most people toss pennies aside without a second thought. They leave them in jars, glove compartments, kitchen counters, or worse, on convenience store floors. But the 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny? That little copper-colored circle happens to be one of the most underestimated assets in American pockets. And the reason behind its explosive value is shrouded in a mix of rarity, mystery, and a twist of luck that very few people ever get to experience. It all begins in 1980, a year when inflation, manufacturing changes, and minting inconsistencies were quietly reshaping the future of American coinage. Millions of pennies rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark as usual, but just a handful, a microscopic number in the grand scheme, emerged strikingly different. These weren't just well-preserved coins. They were extraordinary. The kind of error-free, perfectly defined, sharply struck examples that coin grading experts dream about. Coins so flawless, they qualify as elite museum-grade specimens. And here's the twist. They went into circulation anyway, mixed into bags of coins, dropped into cash registers, handed out as change for groceries, coffee, or gas. You could have held one. You might still have one. They're out there, quietly waiting to be discovered. Collectors now fight fiercely over these ultra-high-grade examples because they represent something rare. A moment in U.S. minting history where precision accidentally created perfection. A handful of these coins, in the most pristine condition imaginable, have sold for staggering prices. And the highest verified market value currently sits at an astounding $980,000. Yes, a penny approaching $1 million. Let that sink in. And here's where fear becomes your friend. Most people watching this video will never check their coins. They will assume they don't have anything valuable. They'll shrug and say, "What are the odds?" And that tiny moment of doubt could cost them nearly $1 million. Imagine losing that simply because you didn't look. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone pay that kind of money for a penny? The answer is rooted in collector psychology, the economics of rarity, and the unstoppable growth of numismatic investment. Wealthy buyers crave exclusivity. They want pieces that no one else can own. A perfect 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny is the kind of item that elevates a collection, boosts prestige, and becomes a symbol of elite ownership. It's like having the rarest painting in the room, except this painting fits in your pocket. But before you rush to check your change jar, there's more you need to understand. Value isn't just about the date. It's about condition, detail, and the microscopic differences that separate a good coin from a life-changing one. The most valuable examples feature razor-sharp Lincoln details, flawless surfaces, bold edges, and no scratches, marks, or discoloration. Under magnification, these coins look almost sculpted, like they were protected from the world since the moment they left the press. Many everyday owners have no idea what they're holding. Some have thrown valuable coins away. Some spent them without knowing. Some tucked them into dusty envelopes for decades. And a few, a lucky few, stumbled onto a fortune hiding in plain sight. Will you be one of them? Or will this be another story you tell yourself you'll check later? The urgency is real because the demand for rare U.S. coins has skyrocketed. Investors, collectors, millionaires, and even major auction houses are turning their attention to overlooked years like 1980. As supply tightens, prices climb. And when prices climb, small decisions suddenly become life-changing. Imagine transforming an old penny into a new home, paying off every credit card, retiring early, helping your children, even your grandchildren. Imagine being the person who actually found one of these rare treasures instead of the person who heard about it happening to someone else. Of all the fears in life, regret is the one that hits the hardest. Now, let's take a breath, because this is also exciting, ridiculously exciting. One day you're holding an ordinary coin. The next, you're holding a 6-figure to 7-figure asset. That's not just money. That's leverage. That's opportunity. That's the kind of moment that divides the past from the future. But here's something people don't expect. There may still be untouched rolls of 1980 pennies sitting in basements, garages, safety deposit boxes, old family belongings, or forgotten storage. Some were stashed away decades ago by people who thought they were saving unremarkable coins. Sometimes the biggest fortunes are the ones hidden by accident. And just when collectors think they've seen all the top-grade examples, another one appears and sends the market surging again. Which means we may not have seen the highest sale yet. The next record-breaking penny could be the one you're holding right now. If that idea doesn't spark a jolt of electricity down your spine, check your pulse. Now, let's address the next question. What should you do if you suspect you have a high-value 1980 penny? The first step is to avoid cleaning it ever. Cleaning destroys value faster than dropping the coin down a garbage disposal. The second step is to store it safely in a soft holder. From there, consider expert grading. A certified high-grade label can launch your coin's value from a few dollars into hundreds of thousands instantly. But here comes the cliffhanger. One particular grading detail can make or break a $1 million sale. A detail so surprisingly subtle that even smart collectors overlook it. And missing it has cost sellers enormous amounts of money. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Before we do, ask yourself something. What if the universe has already placed the opportunity in your home? What if you're sitting within arm's length of a coin that could transform your financial life forever? The fear of missing out is powerful because sometimes it's justified, especially when the window of opportunity is this small and the rewards are this massive. The wealthy understand something others don't. Fortune favors action. Every major collector who has secured one of these coins acted, not later, not someday, but immediately. They checked, they researched, they moved, and because of that, they won. Now here's the subtle grading factor that decides everything. Strike quality. Not just luster, not just surface marks, but the sharpness with which Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat lines appear. This is where the truly elite coins separate themselves from the crowd. Imagine two coins that look nearly identical. One has slightly softened detail, and the other has beautifully defined features. That tiny difference is the gap between $50 and $980,000. A difference so small you're naked I might overlook it. But experts don't overlook anything. Buyers don't overlook anything. And now, neither will you. So here's your moment. After this video, go find your old jars, boxes, drawers, and coin albums. Search through them. Look carefully. Check every 1980 penny you can find. Don't assume. Don't hesitate. Don't let this be another story you hear about someone else making a breakthrough while you look back and think, I could have done that. Your financial turning point might not come from a business plan, an investment account, or a lottery ticket. It might come from something so small, so unassuming, so overlooked, that most people would never think twice about it. But you think differently, and that's why you're still here. This is your reminder that wealth isn't always found, it's often discovered. And sometimes it's already in your hands. So start looking. Start checking. Start believing that your breakthrough might be closer than you imagine. Because the next 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny worth nearly $1 million might be sitting in your home right now. And when you find it, your life will never look the same again. They say life can change in a heartbeat, but sometimes it changes with a penny. And not just any penny. One that most people have unknowingly spent, lost in couch cushions, or dropped into parking lots without a second thought. Today, you're about to discover how a simple 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, hiding in plain sight, has stunned collectors and sellers across the country, reaching a staggering market value of up to $982,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a coin worth 1 cent. Before you question reality, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may find yourself checking every jar, every drawer, and every pocket you've ever owned. It's almost funny, isn't it? The idea that a penny could outperform stocks, real estate, or even gold. But humor aside, this is real. And this story has changed lives. Quietly, unexpectedly, and dramatically. For many Americans between the ages of 30 and 65, people who've worked hard, raised families, and are looking for ways to finally break into the lifestyle they deserve. This coin has become a symbol of hope, because if wealth is hiding in plain sight, maybe opportunity is too. But the story of this extraordinary penny begins with a twist, one rooted in confusion, transition, and a rare minting anomaly created during a turbulent shift in U.S. coinage. In 1982, the United States Mint made a major change. The Lincoln cent transitioned from a mostly copper composition to a copper-plated zinc design. Harmless on the surface, sure. But changes like this, they always leave behind mysteries, errors, accidents, flukes that no one could have predicted. And out of this chaotic transition came a handful of pennies that were struck unlike any others. Pennies with no mint mark, with unexpected weights, compositions, and subtle variations that now sell for life-changing sums. Imagine the shock collectors felt when one of these 1982 no-mint mark pennies, weighing the older copper amount instead of the new zinc standard, surfaced. Those who knew what they were holding didn't just smile, they trembled. And when the first major auction sale hit nearly $1 million, the world of coin collecting lost its breath. Suddenly, the humble 1982 penny wasn't just a coin. It was a golden ticket, a $1 million lottery win, without buying a ticket. But what exactly makes it so valuable? What gives this tiny coin the power to upscale a person's entire financial life? To understand that, let's look deeper into how something so small became such a giant in the market. First, rarity. Not just rarity by chance, but rarity by mistake. We're talking about a transitional error that shouldn't exist, copper planchets that accidentally slipped into the minting presses after the official switch to zinc. Think of it like a manufacturing accident. Only instead of producing faulty electronics, it produced something worth more than a house. And because these coins were not supposed to exist, there are only a few known examples. Every time a new one appears, the industry reacts with panic, excitement, and urgency. Second, authentication. Yes, the process matters. Collectors are terrified of missing out on the next one, but equally terrified of being fooled by counterfeits. Why? Because as values rise into 6- and 7-figure territory, so does the temptation for fakes. That fear alone adds power to the real ones because authenticity becomes the new gold standard. And third, condition. A single scratch can knock off thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, a clean, crisp, original 1982 no-mint mark copper penny can put someone into an entirely new tax bracket. So the stakes are high. Every detail matters. And that's why people like you, people willing to learn, to observe, and to take action, end up being the ones who benefit the most. But let's pause here for a moment. Ask yourself something. When was the last time you checked your old coin jar? Your glove compartment? That shoebox full of stuff you've been meaning to organize for the last 15 years? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. And that's exactly where opportunity hides, in the places we forget to look. Yet the story of this coin isn't just about metal and value. It's about transformation. For many Americans watching right now, money has felt like a finish line that keeps moving farther away. A wealthy, comfortable lifestyle seems reserved for someone else. Someone luckier, someone born into it, someone who catches a break. But the truth is, sometimes the break is already in your home. Sometimes it's sitting in a jar under your bed. But before you grab a flashlight and start flipping furniture upside down, hold on. Because the next part of this story is where things get even more interesting and more urgent. Not all 1982 pennies are created equal. In fact, there are 7 different varieties from that year, each worth dramatically different amounts. Most are common. Some are moderately valuable. But only one specific variety has crossed into the million-dollar territory: the 1982 no-mint mark copper large date penny. And the challenge is that it looks nearly identical to the common ones. That means millions of people have handled this coin without realizing it. They've spent it, dropped it, given it away as change at the grocery store. Some may have vacuumed it up without ever knowing. Slightly painful to think about, isn't it? This coin is like a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is every penny minted in 1982. But here's the twist. The needle doesn't shine. It blends in. The only way to recognize it is by understanding its weight, its metal content, and the subtle characteristics that distinguish the valuable variety from the worthless ones. And that's where the true opportunity lies: knowledge. Knowledge that most people don't have. Yet, if you're still here, you've already proven you're not like most people. You're curious, ambitious, and looking for something bigger. And that's exactly why you're about to gain an advantage. Because knowing what to look for is the key to potentially unlocking a nearly million-dollar payday. So how do you identify the valuable one? You start by weighing it. A copper 1982 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, noticeably heavier than the 2.5-gram zinc version. A small difference, but a powerful one. You also check for the large date design: slightly thicker numerals, slightly bolder curves. It's a detail that could change your future. And of course, no mint mark on the front under the date. Simple steps, but each one is a doorway to wealth. And the moment you hold one that feels just a bit heavier, just a bit different, your heart will race. Because suddenly, you're no longer just checking a penny. You're checking your future. But the excitement shouldn't overshadow something else. Something that has been changing the market rapidly: demand. Right now, collectors are aggressively seeking these coins. Prices are soaring. Competition is intense. And once the few remaining undiscovered pennies are found, the window of opportunity will shrink fast. Because rarity only increases when people realize how valuable something is. Today, the market value sits at $982,000 for top-grade examples. But tomorrow could be higher, or the chance to find one could be gone forever. So what does this mean for you? It means action. It means urgency. It means searching now, not later. Because while most people will shrug and say, "It's just a penny," you understand that wealth often hides behind ordinary appearances. And sometimes the path to a wealthy lifestyle doesn't begin with a windfall. It begins with awareness. But before we close, let's address the thought lingering in your mind. Could you actually find one? Could a rare 1982 penny be sitting somewhere in your home at this very moment? Here's a question back to you. Why wouldn't it be? Someone has to find the next one. Someone always does. And every person who sold theirs for hundreds of thousands of dollars started in the same position you're in right now. Skeptical, curious, and just one decision away from discovering their first rare coin. The truth is, the wealthy aren't just lucky. They're attentive. They recognize opportunity when it whispers, not when it shouts. And right now, this penny is whispering. Quietly, persistently, waiting for someone who's ready to listen to. So before the credits roll, before you get up, before you return to your day, let one thought ignite your determination. Wealth doesn't always come from where you expect, but it always comes to those who take action. Your future might be sitting in a jar of old pennies, or maybe it's in a drawer, or a forgotten box, but it's waiting. And if you want a life that's richer, fuller, and more abundant, then start by looking at the smallest things, because sometimes the smallest things are worth the most. And the next million-dollar 1982 penny? It might just be yours. What if I told you that a coin sitting quietly in a dusty jar, an old dresser drawer, or a forgotten childhood box could be the key to a life-changing amount of money? What if one small copper piece, a simple 1985 D Lincoln penny, could be worth not just thousands, but up to millions of dollars? Most people would laugh that off. But that disbelief is exactly why so many hidden treasures slip right through people's hands. The truth is, right now, one of these coins is sitting on the market with a staggering value of $985,000. Yes, a single penny. A coin you've seen millions of times in your life, suddenly transformed into an asset people are fighting to get their hands on. And the question you should be asking yourself is simple. Why not you? Why not your penny? It's surprising, isn't it? All those years of assuming a penny is just a penny. But deep down, there's a reason videos like this catch your attention. A reason these moments make you sit up straighter. Because there is a part of you, an intelligent, ambitious part, that understands opportunity when it knocks. And today, it's knocking loudly. The story of the 1985 D. Lincoln penny doesn't begin with wealth. It begins with something much more human. Doubt, curiosity, and the quiet fear of missing out. You've heard about people finding rare coins in pocket change, and maybe you've wondered if it's real or just hype. Maybe you've told yourself you're too late to the game. Yet here you are, listening to the story of a coin that proves it's never too late, and that ordinary people still discover extraordinary fortune. Back in 1985, the Denver Mint produced over 5 billion pennies. To the average person, that sounds like a flood of common coins with no special significance. But here's where things get interesting. This massive production created the perfect storm for errors. Small mistakes, microscopic imperfections, rare misstrikes that were never supposed to exist. And those tiny minting errors are exactly what transform a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure powerhouse. Collectors don't just want these coins. They hunt for them. They chase them. They obsess over them. Why? Because scarcity creates value, and hidden rarity creates thrill. Imagine a collector knowing that among billions of ordinary coins, one shining anomaly survived. The excitement of being the person to find it becomes irresistible. Let me paint a picture. A coin collector sits at a kitchen table late at night, sorting through rolls of pennies. Something they've done 1,000 times. Fatigue sets in. Maybe they think just 10 more coins. And then it happens. They see something different. A double digit. A misaligned die. A sharp, crisp strike that shouldn't exist in a coin from the 80s. That moment, that discovery, that heartbeat, changes their life forever. Now imagine that person being you. If you're feeling a little spark of excitement right now, hold on to it. Because the story is far from over. The 1985 D penny is a lesson in how overlooked opportunities can quietly gather value until one day, they explode onto the market. The rise in demand for error coins, the growing number of high-net-worth collectors searching for the next big rarity, and the natural decay of older coins have combined to create a perfect time for this penny to shine. And it doesn't hurt that in the past few years, we've watched record-breaking sales rock the numismatic world. Coins people thought were worthless suddenly hit auction floors and brought in prices that would make even seasoned investors blink twice. $1 million penny? Not so unbelievable anymore, is it? But before we get carried away, let's talk specifics. What makes the 1985 D penny so valuable? The answer lies in its rare variations. These include double dies, misaligned strikes, off-center strikes, and coins with unusually sharp details or preserved finishes. Each rare trait becomes a multiplier, pushing the coin's value higher and higher, sometimes to life-changing levels. Of course, the fear creeps in. What if I have one and don't even know it? What if I throw it away? What if someone else finds the treasure meant for me? These thoughts aren't irrational. They're the same thoughts that keep countless people from ever checking their change, leaving wealth sitting untouched. But here's the truth. Fear can either freeze you or fuel you. And today, you get to choose which one it will be. Imagine sorting through your coins with a new sense of purpose. Imagine holding a penny and suddenly noticing something unusual. A thicker than normal date. A tilt. A misalignment so subtle only a careful eye would spot it. Your heart beats faster. Your hands tremble as possibility surges through you. If you've ever wanted a moment of adrenaline without leaving your house, rare coin hunting delivers it. But let's create a little cliffhanger here, because the most shocking twist is still ahead. You see, there's not just one type of rare 1985 D penny worth big money. There are multiple variations, each with the potential to command extraordinary prices. Some of the rarest coins don't even look unusual to the untrained eye. Some appear so normal that only collectors with the right knowledge recognize their true value. And that leads to the question that keeps viewers glued to the screen. How do you know if the penny in your hand is one of them? What should you be looking for? And more importantly, what should you do if you find one? Before we answer that, let's step briefly into the mindset of the wealthy. Wealth doesn't come from luck. It comes from awareness. It comes from recognizing value before the world catches on. The people who get ahead aren't necessarily smarter. They're simply more curious, more alert, more willing to examine the things everyone else ignores. That mindset alone could turn your small discoveries into major returns. Now, let's pull back the curtain. The most valuable 1985 D pennies typically show dramatic doubling on the date or the word liberty. Some have deep, crisp details due to early die strikes. A few have minting errors so rare that only a handful are known. These are the coins that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Coins like the one currently valued at $985,000. Think about that number for a second. Nearly $1 million. For a penny. It almost sounds like a joke. But that's the thing about the world of collectibles. What looks like a joke to the uninformed is a goldmine to the aware. And you're becoming one of the aware. If you're starting to feel the urgency building, that's a good sign. Opportunities like this don't wait. Coins get found. Markets shift. Trends move. The people who win are the people who act. Here's what you do next. Check your collection. Check your old boxes, your jars, your childhood savings. Check the penny cups at your parents' house. And when you find your 1985 D penny, examine every detail carefully. If anything looks unusual, or even if you're just not sure, get it evaluated by a reputable coin grader. Because the last thing you want is to let $1 million opportunity slip through your fingers. You may laugh at the idea of digging through old coins, but isn't it funny how some of the simplest actions lead to the greatest rewards? Isn't it interesting how wealth sometimes hides in plain sight, disguised as everyday objects? Maybe your fortune has been waiting for you longer than you realize. And here's the final twist, the one most people never expect. Even if your 1985 D penny isn't the rare $1 million variety, there's a high chance it could still be worth far more than 1 cent. Sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands. The real value isn't just in finding the rarest coin. It's in waking up to the opportunities right in front of you. So let this be your moment. Your reminder that wealth favors the bold, the curious, the ones who look twice instead of once. Somewhere out there, someone is about to discover a life-changing penny. Someone is about to stumble into six-figure fortune. Someone is about to rewrite their financial story with a coin worth nearly $1 million. Why shouldn't it be you? Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the small, ordinary-looking penny sitting in a drawer is actually worth more than your house, your car, and maybe even your entire retirement fund combined. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet every year, someone just like you pulls an unassuming Lincoln penny from a forgotten jar and learns it carries a market value soaring as high as $986,000. And in certain rare cases, even into the millions. And today, we're talking about one of the most surprising coins of them all. The 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin so common-looking, you've probably touched hundreds of them in your lifetime without ever imagining what one extraordinary example could mean for your future. Welcome back. Today, you and I are going to take a journey. One that blends history, hidden value, and the powerful possibility that the next life-changing opportunity might already be sitting in your home. If you're between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and searching for new pathways to financial security, wealth, or even a full-on affluent lifestyle, this story has your name written all over it. This isn't just about coins. This is about knowledge that can rewrite your financial destiny. The 1986 penny is deceptively simple. A no-mint mark piece struck at the Philadelphia Mint, made of copper-plated zinc, bearing Abraham Lincoln's timeless profile. The same coin millions of Americans handle without a second thought. So how does something so familiar hide a value so staggering? That's the mystery and the opportunity that keeps collectors, investors, and treasure hunters on edge. The truth is, not all pennies are equal. Some carry scars of history, some carry minting anomalies, and some carry enough rarity to transform a regular coin into a six-figure treasure. But before we reveal what makes this coin so valuable, it's important to understand the landscape it emerged from. In the mid-1980s, the U.S. Mint was transitioning, refining machinery, adjusting metals, and increasing production. Mistakes, tiny errors invisible to the hurried eye, slipped through. A double die, a broad strike, a clipped planchet, a wrong metal strike. These errors became the golden tickets of the coin world. And here's the intriguing part. The 1986 penny is known among serious collectors for hosting some of the most valuable minting anomalies of any mid-80s cent. A single dramatic error can turn it into a coin worth more than a luxury car, more than your annual income, more than many people ever imagine holding in their hands. But what exactly makes one example worth $986,000? What sends collectors into bidding wars and auction houses into quiet, intense frenzy? The answer lies in rarity. In an era where billions of pennies were minted, only a microscopic fraction carry the kind of flawless condition, dramatic error, or production anomaly that raises them above the crowd. Imagine finding the one puzzle piece in a sea of billions that didn't fit, the one that wasn't meant to exist. That's where the fortune lies. Now, you might be feeling a slight twist in your stomach, a blend of curiosity, excitement, and maybe even fear. Fear that you've already let a valuable coin slip through your fingers. Don't worry, you're not alone. Everyone has dumped change into a gas station tray or left coins in a cup holder without a second thought. But today, that changes. Today, you're learning something that millions of Americans never take the time to understand. And that puts you ahead of 99% of people. So what exactly should you look for in a 1986 penny? For one, pristine condition. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels, MS68, MS69, and sometimes even MS70, are nearly impossible to find. Think about it. Pennies get thrown, dropped, rubbed, scraped, tossed into pockets, mixed with keys and forgotten. A perfect specimen? That's a miracle of survival. And miracles carry value. Some of these perfect condition 1986 pennies have fetched astonishing amounts at auction because collectors know how rare they are. Then there are the errors. A doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's image or the lettering appears shadowed or doubled, can send a coin into the high 5 or 6-figure range. Off-center strikes, where a portion of the design is missing, can turn a penny into a miniature piece of modern art that collectors fight for. And then the jackpots, rare wrong metal strikes. Yes, some 1986 pennies were accidentally pressed on leftover bronze planchets instead of zinc. Those are the ones with the potential to push past 6 figures and flirt with million-dollar values. If you're feeling a spark of excitement right now, good. That spark is what drives people to open drawers, dig through jars, and search through old boxes in the attic. But hold on, because this story is only getting better. Because it isn't just about the possibility of wealth. It's about the emotional moment that happens when someone realizes that something ordinary, something they overlooked for years, is suddenly extraordinary. Imagine holding a simple penny between your fingers, staring at the tiny date, 1986, and realizing it isn't just a coin. It's a passport to a new life. Collectors aren't just buying coins. They're buying rarity, history, and the thrill of owning something almost nobody else has. That's why a coin with a market value of $986,000 continues to capture the attention of investors who already live wealthy lifestyles but want to grow even more. Wealth attracts wealth. Rare pennies attract buyers ready to spend big. And that means your forgotten penny could be someone else's dream acquisition. But here's where things get truly interesting. The coin market is rapidly evolving. Demand for rare U.S. coins has surged in recent years thanks to new investors, technology that makes collecting easier, and high-profile auction sales that capture the public's imagination. Every time a rare penny sells for an eye-watering price, more people jump into the market. And as more people enter, prices rise. The fear of missing out becomes very real. For collectors, for investors, for people like you who don't want to look back one day and say, I should have checked. I could have had one. Opportunity doesn't wait. It rewards the ones who act. How do you know if your 1986 penny is special? Start by looking at the basics. Does the coin appear unusually sharp, clean, or flawless? Do the edges look crisp? Does Lincoln's profile stand out with clear detail? Compare the lettering and look for doubling. Check if the coin feels heavier than expected, a possible clue of wrong metal composition. And if you spot something unusual, don't ignore it. That tiny detail could be the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing financial opportunity. This is the moment where countless people get stuck. They think, I'm not an expert. I don't know how to evaluate coins. I might make a mistake. But the secret is you don't have to be an expert. You just have to care enough to look, enough to check, enough to take the first step. Professionals and grading companies exist to help you. And let's be honest, if someone told you your penny might be worth enough to pay off your mortgage, you'd probably be more than willing to make a phone call or send a coin in for grading. And here's a little humorous truth. People spend hours searching for their lost TV remote, but won't spend 5 minutes checking a coin that could change their life. Isn't that wild? Sometimes the universe hides wealth in the simplest places, waiting for someone with just a little bit of curiosity to uncover it. But before we reach the conclusion of this journey, there's one more thing you need to understand. Rare coins don't just reward people financially, they reward people emotionally. They bring back memories of childhood collections, moments with parents or grandparents, the thrill of discovery, the joy of unexpected fortune. That emotional connection increases value, too. That's why buyers will spend hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, on coins that to most people look ordinary, because to them it represents something deeper. And now, here's the cliffhanger moment you've been waiting for. Somewhere, right now, a 1986 penny worth nearly $1 million is still out there, undiscovered, sitting in a jar, a pocket, a drawer, a storage unit, a forgotten box. Someone will find it. Someone will hold it. Someone will sell it for a life-changing amount of money. The only question left is, will that someone be you? If you want to live a wealthier life, if you want financial security, if you want the thrill of knowing you uncovered something 99% of people overlook, then start searching. Because the next rare penny isn't just a coin. It's a moment, possibility, a doorway. And it might already be in your home, waiting for you to pick it up. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that a simple, ordinary-looking penny sitting in a dusty drawer is actually worth close to $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But for a handful of lucky collectors, this is exactly what happened with one of the most unexpected treasures in American numismatics. The 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin so common, it slipped through millions of hands unnoticed. Yet the rarest examples have skyrocketed to jaw-dropping prices, with one verified specimen selling at a current market value of $987,000. If that doesn't make you want to check every penny in your home, I don't know what will. But before we dive into why this everyday coin could transform an ordinary life into one of wealth and financial freedom, let's explore how such a humble piece of copper-plated zinc became one of the most sought-after modern rarities. Because the truth is, these high-value 1987 pennies aren't just accidents. They're symbols of opportunity, of timing, and of being one of the few who recognize hidden value when everyone else walks past it. Most people never question the pennies in their pockets. They toss them in jars, leave them in cars, or lose them in couch cushions. Yet those same pennies could be tickets to a different future. And that's where this story begins, with a coin so common, yet so misunderstood, that it created one of the most dramatic value gaps ever seen in modern circulating coinage. While billions of 1987 pennies were minted, only a microscopic fraction contained the rare characteristics collectors are willing to pay life-changing money for. And the fear of missing out on one of these rare pieces has sparked a new wave of treasure hunting across the country. Now, how did something as tiny and overlooked as a penny suddenly command a six-figure price tag? It comes down to rarity hidden within the ordinary. The 1987 no-mint Mark penny wasn't supposed to be special. In fact, almost every penny minted in Philadelphia lacks a mint mark by design. But the reason this coin is so valuable lies beneath the surface, literally. A very small group of 1987 pennies left the mint with extraordinary variations. Flawless strikes, dramatic die errors, double dies, ultra-high grades, or untouched surfaces that survived the decades without so much as a fingerprint. These coins are the miracles of modern minting, surviving 37 years without damage in a world where pennies are basically abused for sport. You've probably dropped one yourself today. What makes collectors pay hundreds of thousands for one? Because we all crave the combination of scarcity and perfection. Even the biggest investors know that the rarest version of the most ordinary object becomes iconic. And when a coin that should be worth 1 cent suddenly becomes a wealth-building asset, the excitement only grows. But it helps to understand what creates a $1 million penny, because even if yours isn't worth $987,000, there are still features that could make it shockingly valuable. Some of the most expensive 1987 pennies ever found share key traits: pristine mint luster, extremely sharp details, no wear on Lincoln's beard or coat, and error varieties such as double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies. A single flaw, in this case, can turn into a fortune. Funny how that works. Most of us spend our lives hiding flaws, yet the rarest pennies get rich because of them. Imagine holding a coin that's been tucked away since 1987, maybe handed down, maybe forgotten in a drawer. You tilt it under the light, and the shine looks different. The strike looks deeper. The details almost glow. Your heart starts racing just a little faster. Is this it? Is this the moment everything changes? That's the exact excitement collectors describe before discovering they own something extraordinary. And that thrill is what keeps millions of Americans searching their pockets every day. But excitement alone isn't enough. Here's where the fear kicks in: the fear of losing out, the fear of selling too early, the fear of not recognizing a treasure when it's right in front of you. Because most 1987 pennies today have been degraded by decades of circulation. People use them to scratch lottery tickets, pry open batteries, or, let's be honest, fling them at friends as jokes. The surviving population of investment-grade 1987 no-mint mark pennies is frighteningly small. Every time someone accidentally spends one, another tiny piece of opportunity disappears forever. And that scarcity is exactly why the value continues to climb. Investors are turning to rare coins not just for collecting, but as financial armor, tangible assets that hold value regardless of market conditions. The wealthy understand this. They're buying up rare coins like real estate, because when the economy shakes, physical assets rise. And when the demand goes up faster than the supply, well, that's when ordinary people suddenly become wealthy. But here's the real twist in the story, the part you need to hear. The most valuable 1987 penny ever sold wasn't discovered by a seasoned collector. It wasn't found in a high-security vault or a private collection. It was found by an everyday person, someone just like you, who simply checked their change one day and decided not to ignore what they saw. They paid attention. They took action. And that single moment changed their financial path forever. This is where opportunity meets preparation. Think of how many pennies you've walked past in your life. Hundreds? Thousands? Have you ever wondered if one of them was worth a fortune? Probably not. But maybe now you will. Maybe the next time a penny rolls under your car seat, you won't shrug it off. Because that's how these stories begin. With someone who stops overlooking the overlooked. As you begin searching your own 1987 pennies. Remember this: the million-dollar value isn't magic. It's condition, rarity, timing, and awareness. A perfect grade 1987 penny with an exceptional error or ultra-rare strike can command life-changing money. And even lower-grade varieties can sell for impressive amounts, from hundreds to thousands. The pathway to opportunity is wider than most people think. It just requires the courage to start looking. And that brings us to the thrilling part. Because somewhere, right now, there are still 1987 pennies sitting in jars, drawers, and collections across the country that no one has checked. Some of them, untouched for decades, might carry that same market-shattering value. The next person to uncover one could turn an ordinary day into the moment everything shifts. The next millionaire could be someone watching this video, maybe even you, but only if you act. Before we wrap up, let's leave off with one final cliffhanger. The 1987 penny isn't the only modern coin hiding wealth within it. And the next coin we reveal might be even more shocking, even more valuable, and even easier to find. So before you rush to check your spare change, you may want to stay tuned, because the biggest surprise is still ahead.